This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and, all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode. Welcome to the show, Foster. I appreciate you coming back on again. Is this your third time on?
Here. Yeah.
Yeah. So how you feeling these days?
I'm struggling, my kidneys are failing, and so it hurts a lot in my back, and taking a piss is like trying to squeeze a lemon out of freaking whatever, you don't want to go there, but it just sucks.
Yeah, I know, man. I know you've been going through it. I've been seeing your posts lately. Now, is this your second holidays that you've been sober?
Yeah, the second one.
Because last year would have been, you were sober last year for Christmas and everything.
Right. Yeah. First time ever since I was like 5.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, I know you've been going through a lot with your mind right now with, think about your mom, your mom was the anniversary, right? And your wife's anniversary just passed.
Right.
How was getting through that this time sobriety? I know the first time was more like shock and you were early in sobriety. So you had that like shock still when it happened. How was it, getting through it this year, with a year under your belt?
It was hard. For Andrew's anniversary, I went in the room for the first time, and so that made it really kind of tough. Yeah, I kind of lost it a little bit, I'd say, but my sister was there and backed me up. Made sure I was okay. I made sure I had somebody here.
Yeah, that's
good.
I
didn't know what I'd do.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah,
but I still locked it back up. I went in there that one day and I still locked it back up. So
yeah.
My mom, same thing. I kept my sister close by, and I kind of helped her through her deal, and didn't concentrate on mine. So my sister's been struggling with it a lot. I have too, but it's like every other time somebody's passed away, I've tried to maintain myself so everybody else can be okay. And,
yeah.
We went to the Arsenal because all my family's buried there, and that kind of sucks. When you want to visit your family and you got to go to the cemetery and they're all right there. But I don't know. I made it though. Still
yeah.
Good,
Yep. Yeah, it's not gonna be easy, but when you do make it through those days, it does make it a little bit easier.
If you look at it right, what made me prouder, give me a little bit of pride that I made it through it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, first instinct is to use, or to cover it up with something. So to not do that for the first time, or the second time, I guess it was fulfilling, I guess, in a way. It's kind of weird, kind of its own little high,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I noticed for me, making it through something that I thought I wouldn't is like a new fit, it's like, yeah, I did it,
Yeah, no, I know.
Sense, but
no, it does. Yeah, it happens a lot where when you make it through stuff, it's almost like building a tolerance. We build tolerances to getting through things, and it's almost a sense of pride, almost like an award when you do make it through. It's,
right.
Where you feel like you should have won an award. You should have got a jacket or a trophy for just getting through what you got through without getting high.
Right. Yeah, I didn't have very many of them days before, so
yeah,
everything's a new beginning, kind of like a new response and stuff. That's how I kind of look at it.
How do you feel about getting through the holidays this year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll get through it. I know I will, but it's going to be different because everybody's, all my family's just gone and split up. The one, my distant cousins and all that, they're just all over the place, and my cousins that are in Michigan, my uncle had just passed away right after my mom, And so I don't know when, you know, when my grandparents were alive, our family was tight. You know, grandma had this little slab home, and we'd all go there and spend the night, and everybody be laying around on the floor. And when my grandma and grandpa died, my mom tried to hold it together, but it wasn't the same. And now that mom's gone, it's going to separate even farther. Um, so that kind of, it's sad, but um, it'll just be another day for me, another day. Just to be honest with you.
Yeah. And well, that's why it's important this time of year to be reaching out, like, wherever, like, at least with social media, it's a huge way to, reach out to a lot of people at one time that are probably feeling the way, you're feeling, where this
Yeah,
person, where you can feel alone because it was much worse to feel alone in addiction, in my opinion, though, because I felt alone in addiction and I felt alone in sobriety. And in addiction, when I was felt alone, I would go into a much darker place than I would if I was sober and alone. If I was sober and alone, I know that there are ways of reaching out to people and trying to find help or trying to find someone to talk to. It's just a matter of, do I actually want to talk to somebody? Do I actually want to reach out? You know what I mean?
right.
Like, there's sometimes where I don't want
Yeah,
somebody to tell me things that I don't want to hear right now. I'd rather just be sitting my shit and sit in my depression and feel sorry for
yeah,
myself. Let's be real. I sometimes I'd rather
it's
just
true.
choose that road. And then there's other days when I'm like, no, I need somebody to pick me up out of this funk. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to do the things that are suggested of me and everyone tells me I should be doing anyway. And I reach out to people. So there are days though where I kind of want to sit alone in my feelings and sit alone in my shit and have complete silence. Like, I'm lucky that my only pet in my office is a tortoise. There's no fucking barking, there's no meowing. It's just, but I can hang out with him and he's right over there. And, but there's some days, man, where I just want complete silence. I don't want to hear or talk to anybody, and I just need that kind of silence to kind of decompress all this shit that's going through my head, you know. And so I just got to sit here and just
Yeah,
escape that way. And I can escape that way, instead of escaping with drugs, I can escape just in my head. And I'd rather do that sober and alone as opposed to in addiction and alone. Because in addiction and alone, it was more towards like suicidal ideations and that kind of thing.
yeah, I agree. You know, uh, I think being isolated and alone are two different things. You know what I mean? You can uh, you can choose to be alone and, like you said, sit back and think about what you got going on, just chill. And then isolating is withdrawing. You don't you do that intentionally so you don't have to communicate. You don't have to talk about your feelings. And I do a lot of both. Because I mean I'm alone all the time. I am, and so I can get into a really trippy headspace even in recovery. You know,
Yeah.
um, and it's usually poor me, blah blah blah, whiny crap. Um, and I'm not good at picking up the phone, as you noticed. I mean, I'm not a chatter. I mean, when I get on this, I can barely shut up, but I think that's probably because I don't ever talk to anybody.
But it's
But
it's
the truth,
also it's easier. Well, the truth is, it's easier to feel sorry for yourself than it is to try to, it's harder for me to give myself accolades and to give myself credit for anything than it is for me to tell myself I'm a piece of shit. It's way
oh yeah, it's easy
easier
to
for
say you're a
me to
piece of shit.
talk. Yeah, it's way easier for me to talk down on myself and to go down the rabbit hole of negativity and then it is to go down the rabbit hole of positivity. But you can go either way. we do have the
Yep.
choice to either think in a positive sense or be a shitty person to ourselves. We have that choice. We have ever since we got sober, that's one thing we gained, man, was the power of choice. Whether it was we
Right.
choose not to drink or drug, or we choose to be positive or choose to be an angry sober person, because there's a plenty of angry sober people in meetings. Let's be real.
That's no lie. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I the thing with the feeling sorry for ourselves, that's just like a big giant negative hug we get to engulf ourselves in. Oh, I feel terrible. You know, and I mean,
Yep.
I have them days. I do. I have them days. Um, and every morning, I wake up thinking about my drug of choice every morning, and I think I always will. It may lessen. I don't know. Um, and I really don't want it to because I never want to forget.
Yeah, we're allowed
I
to have
never want to
those
forget.
days. We're allowed
Yeah,
to have those
yeah.
days, man. And I think a lot of the reason you probably wake up and think about it, and it's not your fault. Why would you leave? But you still live in the place that you got high, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, every day.
yeah, so it's different for you because you wake up and see the same walls, you see the same you see everything as it was before and how it is now, as opposed to someone like me.
Right.
I've lived in one, two, three, four, five different places since I've gotten high with my drug of choice. So I've lived in five different
Right.
addresses since I've gotten high last time with my pills. So I've been so far away from that environment that I most recently got high in, that me waking up, it isn't a trigger. It would be. I know if I woke up and I saw the same like curtains and shit, you know what I mean? Like the same bedroom that I used to wake up to get high every morning, that would be an automatic trigger every single day. So I can totally see that. With me, it's just that I wake up in a different environment than I did, so I don't automatically wake up and see things that take me back to that place, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it does. But it also is. I used to have to do what I did to just start my day, and then I would do my normal day like a normal person. It's like getting up and drinking coffee. You know what I mean? People get up
Yeah.
and they drink their coffee. I got up, did my thing, and I went on and did my day.
Yeah,
Um,
I did my
so I have
pills
to,
as I was rolling out of bed.
yeah, and I did my shot. You know,
Yep.
so it was just
Yeah.
like a routine. It was just a total routine. And I mean, everybody does that, I think. Um,
Yeah.
but but it was just when I wake up now, I just have to force myself to move instead of let the dope do it. You know. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm not a happy-go-lucky guy when I wake up because I usually only average a few hours of sleep anyway.
Yeah.
But um, it's all good.
You got me back
So
into NA meetings.
cool.
Yeah, ever since you were talking about the NA, AA, and the, going to different ones, I was like, I'll go back different ones. And now we got NA meetings here 4 nights a week, and we do AA meetings here 6 mornings a week. So
You're like a powerhouse, man.
I'm
Yeah, you're a
trying, man.
powerhouse. That's awesome. That's awesome. So
Yeah. So I
yeah,
go. There was only one NA meeting in our town every week. So now there's five. So I took
and it
three
was
of
at a
four
local
other
church,
nights.
I'm assuming. Yeah.
This one, well, no, that was one of the AA meetings in town. That Nooner is in a church basement, and then and it's not even like a
Yeah.
basement. It's like off to the basement. You know what I mean? It's like a side room, boiler room off the
The
basement.
back room.
Yeah, it is. Seriously, it is still the basement, but it's not the basement. I've been in church basements that it's the whole fucking basement. This is
Yeah,
just
me
like a
too.
boiler room off the basement. But either way, there's AA signage up there, so they must do that so they don't gotta break down shit and just leave it up. But it's fine. It's fine for the amount of people that go. I get
I'm
it.
sorry. I keep
There's
thinking. Put the addicts to the back of the bus.
Just put them in the fucking back where no one's going to look at them.
I don't
Yeah,
get
they
it.
get their own entrance and no one has to see them. No one's got to mix.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that they're locked and they can't enter the church. We don't know who's down there. There's only a fucking dozen of us or so that nooner. It's no big deal. But yeah, but that one is in the church basement. There's a lot of always weird ones in churches. And now there's 6 more. I just added 9 a.m.s, Monday through Saturday at my place for AA meetings here now. So, but yeah, church basements, man. I didn't go to any in LA, I don't think. When I went to meetings in LA, every single meeting I went to was in like a recovery type of. You went to meetings there, you know what I mean? They were like clubhouses.
Right. Yeah.
I guess I went to one
That's
church.
the way they are here, but except for they're right next to a bar. All of ours are right next to a bar.
We got a bar right next to us, right there. It's actually really funny because the building that we do meetings out of here, it used to be, well, for 80 years it was a newspaper press. It was our local paper. And shit, dude, there's still the original equipment from 1900 in the basement, like right now, because I couldn't get it out.
Right.
So like all their old equipment is still down there. And then for 25 years or so, it was a cabinet shop. And for the last decade, it's been empty. And until we moved in. And so the thing is, though, we're a college town. So like there's like 9,000 college kids at that school. And so it's like a Pennsylvania school, Bloomsburg University. It's like a state school. And so the bars around here, they get fucking wild because they're a bunch of college kids. It's not just a town bar. It's a college kid town bar.
Right.
So, and they'll be outside smoking. And for, I guess, a while, they would walk over to my place and smoke outside of my building because it was empty for so long. So I started becoming like a Jehovah's Witness out there for AA to fuck with people. Every time I'm out there smoking, if somebody's out there, I start, oh, you're here for a meeting? I mean, you're early, but we can have one out here. A meeting's only 2 alcoholics having a conversation. And they're like, what the fuck? What are you...
Buzz.
Yeah, they're like, what are you talking about, a meeting? I'm like, this is AA. You're outside of my, recovery center smoking. I mean, we all smoke. It's okay to smoke cigarettes still. We can have our conversation here. My name's JD. They're like, I'm drinking at the bar. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm like, well, you're standing outside of AA, so pick a side of the sidewalk, buddy. And now they all smoke on the other side.
Can't get anybody to smoke with you now, huh?
No, I actually made a friend though, and him and I have a cigarette, and he's there 5 days a week, man. He's there for happy hour every day after work for his pitcher of beer. You know what I mean? He drinks alone kind of guy.
He's not an alcoholic.
Yeah. His wife's at home. She I don't know what she does, but he's there every day. But he doesn't get out, to his credit, he doesn't get smashed. Every day that I talk to him, he's coherent the entire time. But he's my age, and we nerd out about stupid shit, and we have a cigarette every time we see each other out there. I probably
he just doesn't want to go home to the wife without.
Yeah, I probably see him.
That's the only thing. I used to do that.
Yep. So I probably see him once or twice a night, and for a couple cigarettes. Cool. Yeah. So I made a friend, and he laughs whenever he sees me fuck with people because he knows what I'm doing now. So
it won't be long. He'll be making your coffee at your meetings and stuff.
Yeah, he's been inside. He's checked it out, and I've showed his wife around too. So his wife reminds me of my fiance that passed away. Actually, the way she drinks. So like we've talked about it, her and I, and she knows it, but she's just not ready yet. I'm not here to tell anybody when they're ready.
Yeah, right.
I can tell you I'm here when you're ready. I can say we can talk even if you're not ready. There was a woman here who was 49 the other day for her first ever meeting. 49. So, and just because it was suggested that, hey, we have conversations all the time and you never recall them. That's not right. So,
I remember a lot of them.
you remember
Or
what?
actually, I don't remember a lot of them.
You remember a lot of the times people said to you, "Hey, Foster, remember that time we talked?" And you
Yeah.
said no. Like,
I went, yeah, that was great.
yeah, that I
Didn't
could see
remember any of
you,
it.
remembering that
Yeah,
part of the conversation, but maybe not the actual conversation itself.
exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was reading it that it is 33% more likely to have a relapse between Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Probably
Like,
a lot of overdoses, a lot of suicide during that time too.
and that's the thing is I didn't even get into those numbers. I just went into relapses that are reported.
Yeah,
Think
yeah,
about
and
that.
yeah, just reported. There's probably
Just reported.
thousands other than that, you know,
Yeah,
and
because
then the secret ones.
that's what I mean. How often are you really reporting them? You know,
Yeah, yeah. It's not
you
like
re-
everybody wants to run out and say, "Hey, I relapsed. Fight
yeah,
the power." You know.
yeah. That number is based on people entering rehab. So that's
Right.
not even the
Yeah.
relapses. That's the number of people entering rehab during that time because that's all they can
Yeah.
really report for a relapse.
Yeah. That's all
But
the insurance ones.
exactly. But there's like no hard numbers on, and it would be impossible to really gauge it on people like you or I relapsing because if that were to happen, I'm not calling the national, whatever statistics for health to make sure that they know, hey, we got another one on the line.
Add to the list.
Yeah. Like, no,
Check.
uh, I'm not spending my time doing that.
No, I'm gonna keep getting high.
Yeah, exactly. So those numbers are really even more skewed than they are. Like I think that's part of the problem with trying to track, this disease of addiction is there's no real gauge of numbers to follow.
None of those numbers. It's like the COVID numbers. Sorry, I
It's
didn't need it. I don't need to bring it up, but that's
it's even
worse
worse
than
than
that.
that
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, because
because that's even still trackable.
yeah,
Technically, that is still kind of trackable. And as opposed to this, you're really having to take me on my word that I haven't touched an opiate in 3.5 years, you
right,
know?
yeah,
And you literally just have to like Scout's honor, like fucking trust me,
yeah,
you
right,
know?
yeah,
And so that's the thing about the difference is, yeah, you can give me a drug test and I can pass that drug test, but that's even ways that you can beat drug tests.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
and it's true. Either you're honest and you're in recovery, or you're not, and nobody knows. We just hopefully we know.
yeah.
By spending time with people. But I don't like any of the rehab thing. I don't like it.
This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
Any of that. I just don't. I think it's a money making thing off a bunch of the bids, and I think that's why the steps say we forgive what was freely given to us because we heal each other. They don't heal us.
Yeah. Yep.
I
And they
hate I
definitely
hate that.
don't. Yeah, rehab helped me with they gave me a bed, they gave me something where I was supervised while I was detoxing. And they introduced me to
And food.
AA, and they gave me food 3 times a day. You know, they made sure I was eating and drinking Gatorade and shit. You know, I played basketball, but most importantly, they made sure I was going to 2 meetings a day,
Mhm. Yeah.
and they introduced me to that.
Yeah.
So I always said that if I ever relapsed, it's going to a hospital for detox and then getting back into the rooms. I'm
Right.
not spending my money with for the full rehab experience again. I got the experience. I know what I need to do is I need to detox in a hospital and then go to the fucking, AA meetings again.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We could save billions of dollars a year if that's what people would do. You know, I mean,
Yep.
our ERs would probably be overwhelmed, but if that's. I was talking to my daughter, and she's in recovery. She's 3 years, um, but I told her, I said we need to set up a facility that is free, but you have that first those days of detox with medical staff, and then after that, it's just us giving back, to other addicts, and that's a lot of money. A lot of just I don't know. I mean, you could. I, I I watch what you do and I listen to what you do. I watch everything you do on Facebook and stuff, and you're grabbing the horn, the bull by the horns in a lot of different ways, and a lot of people don't do that, so that's cool. My dad wrote a recovery program based on spiritual principles and the 12 steps, which they are, but I mean, combined it, excuse me, and a lot of people use it in this area. And he always wanted me to take over that class. He used to have hundreds of people come through the house, and then in the church basement.
Mm.
But um, I never did. But keep trying to think of things that I could do to help recovery and addiction. And I don't know. I guess I'm simple-minded when it comes to that kind of thing because I just can't figure it out.
Well, yeah, just keep talking. I mean, just keep telling your story is important, and just keep being honest with anybody. And I think the Zooms are important too.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people like you where you enjoy the meetings, but it's hard for you to actually get out to the
Right.
meeting.
Yeah.
So now you can enjoy multiple meetings a day. So that's important. Everyone does their recovery differently. Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm so hands on with, the recovery with AA and the NA and what we're doing is because I think that's the most important part, right? Is the work,
Hmm.
is the actual work itself. Because rehab is just, a way to get away at this point.
I used to
Because
be an addict, but now I'm not.
it's
You
yeah,
know,
it's a very expensive, yeah, that commercial.
it drives me nuts.
Yeah, that commercial, John Oliver made fun of it a lot. He has an amazing episode. If you just go to YouTube and you type in John Oliver rehab episode, it pops right up. And it's all
Yeah.
about the rehab industry and how fucked up it is. And it's a great episode. It came out I want to say 4 years ago, so because I was watching it in rehab. Um, but yeah, that is an entire racket of just
Dude,
yeah, yeah. What I like I
they're
said,
they're they're getting
luckily
rich off
for
killing us.
me, luckily for me, I went to one that actually wanted to help and made sure that I got into AA meetings and made sure I knew how important it was, because that is what is the most important thing in early recovery, is having support from other people like you, whether it's on Facebook
Right.
and talking where you and I met on Facebook and the recovery groups on Facebook, and there's so many with thousands and thousands of people in there, like 75,000, 45, 50,000. And then even I'm on TikTok and there's a ton of people on there in the recovery community that are always posting videos or going live all the time in the recovery community. So there's a lot of ways besides even doing traditional Zooms for AA and NA, that you can be part of recovery without even leaving the house.
Yeah. And that's I do a lot of you know things like this, and and then I've been trying to figure out a way to make my own like my recovery video. I don't know if you see my post about that, but
Yeah.
and I want to kind of do that, but you know, it's service work is the only way I make it. It is, you know. I mean, I do my steps and I do my work, but because I don't get out there, if I didn't have these kind of platforms, I wouldn't make it, you know. And then I thought, well, I thought about doing a podcast, and then I thought, well, why do we need another podcast? You know, I mean, that's like joining a motorcycle club when there's 50 other ones, or make it a motorcycle club when there's 50 other ones out there. You know, join the one
Yeah.
that's already made.
Yeah.
But so I just thought, well, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, but I've been thinking about a lot. You know, in an NA meeting, there's no crosstalk, or you can't. It's always drove me nuts.
I love
You know,
crosstalk, man. I
I
love
love
crosstalk.
crosstalk too.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about doing something like some kind of platform where it's just crosstalk. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
crosstalk, for those who don't know, crosstalk, especially in a meeting, is if I'm sharing, usually when somebody's sharing in the room, they're talking about whatever triggers are going on that day, and they're talking, it's being really personal. No one talks, right? In most meetings, nobody talks. And a lot of the times when that share's going on, they're talking about something that has to do with somebody else sitting in that room. And
Yeah.
the whole point of no crosstalk as a rule is that that person that they're indirectly talking about, and usually fucking directly talking about, and everyone knows it usually in these home groups, depending, you're not supposed to respond. Everyone's supposed to wait, and then you say thank you for sharing. In some places they clap, in some they say thank you for sharing, and some it's fucking both. I've been to meetings where it's all of it. But in LA there was a few different midnight meetings that I used to go to. They were always midnight meetings. They weren't 8 o'clock or 6 p.m. or fucking nooners. They were midnight meetings or 11 p.m. late night. Those are where
Right.
crosstalk fucking goes down, and it is amazing. AA, there's one in North Hollywood I used to go to, and it was the first meeting I ever spoke at. I was 30 days sober. I was getting a 30-day chip, and I was the speaker, a 45-minute speaker at that meeting. I'm sitting there giving my experience, strength, and hope with a 30-day chip, and it's mostly just fucking war stories, you know? But it was all crosstalk. They're yelling shit. Like, that was the whole point, was my buddy ran the meeting. He had a year sober, and he was crazy. He's had some crazy stories, and he was a year sober at the time, and he was like, I want you to speak. You have some funny stories. And he used to do stand up. So you want to get used to talking again in front of a crowd, you can come to my meeting. You'll be able to break curfew, and I'll pick you, because I'll be picking you up and taking you to the meeting and bringing you back, so you'll be allowed. And
Right.
I said, okay, cool. And he goes, just so you know, though, it's crosstalk allowed, so they're going to be yelling at you. And I hope that your training and stand up is going to come in handy, because you're going to be heckled, especially for having a 30-day chip and being speaking. I think it'll be funny. And I'm like, you're setting me up for failure, bro. So I was like, and this was at 9:30 at night. This was at
Right.
9:30. This was 2 hours before.
Before you got to go in.
I'm sitting in an NA meeting in Santa Monica, and he's like, I'm gonna pick you up. And I'm like, what the? He was secretary of the meeting, and his speaker dropped out. So he was just, just
Wow.
yeah. Don't worry, I got it. I'll get this new guy that's 2 days out of detox.
That's
I'm
funny.
two days out of inpatient in my sober living when this happened. And he did. He got permission with the higher ups, because he was friends with them. And he came and picked me up in Santa Monica, like a 45 fucking minute drive from where he was. Like, yeah. And they were yelling shit, and I went back, and we had a great time. And those crosstalks, we do crosstalk here. And it's not necessarily, just so people know, it's not even like bad things all the time either. Sometimes we need the crosstalk, in my opinion, because you say something when you're sharing, maybe, and I have something that I want to interject that could be useful to you, but you then say something a minute later in your share that somebody else shares on, and then somebody else, and then I forget to put in, you know what I mean, to say
Yeah.
what I wanted to say. So that's why I like crosstalk, is I can be like, oh, don't worry, Foster, if you just do X, Y, and Z, you'll be all set.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit,
That's my
thanks.
thing. Yeah, but you said in a meeting, call for, and before I say this, I don't want to get a bunch of comments. You guys only been got a year's clean. You shouldn't be doing so many videos. Blah 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 blah. But the thing is if you're sitting there, they call for burning desire, right? Somebody shares their heart, and they say, "Okay, thanks for coming." You know, to me, it's like bringing them out to the ledge, trying to help them, and then dropping them on their face. And I'm not slandering NA. I'm not slandering the way they do it. I'm saying, how's that help? The people are like, I really want to use. I really want to use. I really want to use. And thanks for sharing, and move on to the next dude. You know what I mean? I struggle with that.
And for any burning desire, what he's saying is something that we'll throw out at the end of the meeting. And for people that are usually having problems where they're really triggered and they might get high and they went to a meeting instead. And in a lot of home groups and a lot of meetings, they don't want somebody to then say, hey, you shouldn't get high, friend. I'll talk to you after the meet. Like, they don't really want that. They want you to then share on what's for you and not for them.
Right.
And there are a lot of home groups, though, that will be like, no, fucking say something to them and step in and 12-step them and try to help them. And it's so funny because it's not even AA. We're not even talking about AA at that point or NA at that point.
No.
We're just talking about home groups at that point. We're talking about people, because it's the people that are different everywhere. It's not the actual programs. And that's why we're not talking
Right.
about the programs and breaking even traditions, because we're talking about there's certain people that do things certain way. Even talking about the word recovered, right? The word recovered is in the book 30 times. Or people in AA where they say, hey, don't talk about, drugs, but yet Bill and Bob talked about drugs all the time in the book. So why can they talk about it? It's just you
Yeah.
don't like hearing about it in this group.
And in NA, we say, well, the one thing that causes addicts to relapse is thinking that alcohol is different than drugs. So I mean, it's like they fight each other for no reason.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? We're all addicts. It's a disease. We've all just come to that conclusion. We know that. But yeah, oh, don't say drugs in this meeting, or don't say this in this meeting, and and I'm not trying to start an AA war or get everybody hating on me. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
no.
it's way Bill and them started it, and then 56 when they started NA or whatever year it was. Instead of just, we can't ever just come together. You know what I mean? It's always got to be some separation. We're this, and then we're that, and our traditions, and I love that. But we might figure this thing out one day if we all got our heads together instead of trying to separate because you drink and I don't.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Sometimes it gets crazy to me.
I know. No, it's definitely different. But it is the same. It has the same, they want the same results. They want us to be sober. They want us to not drink. They want us to not get high. So it's just, again, it's people. It's the people that are different.
just like churches,
I
got
mean,
humans
even
involved.
the
There's going to be
the
a mess up.
chapter 5 is even the same in both fucking books, man. How it works is
Yep.
it's how it works. Chapter
Yep.
5 in both books. So you tell me how real different, you know.
I I don't know. We're going to get a bunch of comments on the diehard, AA and NA on here. So at least we got them rolling, right? You know.
But that's the thing.
I
It
don't know.
doesn't. I love both programs. I mean,
Me too.
I attend both, and I think both are vital because not everything is going to work for everyone. Some people some people
Guess
can
what?
say
Yeah.
NA didn't work for me, but AA did, and then somebody will say AA didn't work for me, but NA did. it's time and circumstance that worked for you. It just so happened that program was the one you did with that time. You know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah, no,
right? Like you
oh
could
yeah,
have
yeah,
fucking
yeah. I
went
mean,
Buddha. You could
I
have
love
went
CMA.
Buddha.
Oh my gosh.
Being sober from
Yeah,
being Buddhist could have worked for you, but it was the time and the circumstance, really.
right.
You know. So it was just that was the program you chose for when recovery was going to work because you wanted it to the most. You were most
Yeah,
driven to be in recovery. Whenever you're most driven for your own personal gain of
excuse me.
being just in recovery and not for anyone else, whatever program you're going to choose to aid you in that way is going to be vital and important and helpful.
Well, yeah, and like it's like being in the groups. You'll see people. Oh, I didn't have to use a 12-step program, and I didn't do this and do that. And they get mad because people push it. People only push what works for them. You can't promote what you don't have, right? And that's what they have is NA or AA or and we just love to hate. That's the thing. Everybody just
Yeah.
loves to hate. They just want to hate on somebody, and it drives me berserk. They're sitting there bashing a dude because he's in the 12 steps, and this guy's found religion. Okay, well, what doesn't matter as long as it worked, right? Yeah, I can get on a rampage about that kind of thing, but
No, I know.
it's
But
just
I'm gonna wrap this one up for today, bud. I'm
yeah,
gonna
that's
let
good.
you go. I know you're having a you're still recouping and trying your
Yeah,
best to get energy, so I won't keep you on too long for today.
and I
So
appreciate you checking in on me, and so
oh, always, man, always. And yeah, we'll talk soon for sure.
yeah. All right,
All right, have a good one, buddy.
appreciate you.
All right, I'll see you.
You as well.
See ya.
All right, bye.